While the first season of The Office might not have been the show's strongest season, it was still incredibly important to the show. The series was based on the original British show that ran for 2 seasons, and the first season of the American version was closely inspired by its predecessor. Eventually, The Office became much longer than the original UK series, and it began to find its footing as its own show. However, it would never have reached that point if it weren't for its influence or its own 6-episode first season. The Office's cast began to settle into their characters more as the show went on, but that's not to say season 1 doesn't hold up. Even the show's weakest seasons can be hilarious at times, and the cast had already grown comfortable improvising great moments in The Office right from the beginning. The original UK version of The Office had a major influence on season 1 of the American version, including an influence on Michael Scott's appearance. Michael's appearance in season 1, just like much of his character, is based on David Brent, the manager from the UK series. It took The Office some time to find its footing, and season 1's version of Michael Scott was more focused on staying true to its inspiration than having Steve Carell make the character his own. Michael's hair gel in the show's first season is inspired by David Brent, showing how closely the season took inspiration from the British version. One interesting thing about The Office's first episode is that it's a close copy of an episode from the UK series, showing that the US version had yet to forge its own identity. Michael's appearance changed in season 2 thanks to Steve Carell getting in shape for his role in The 40-Year-Old Virgin. This coincided with Carell really making Michael's character his own rather than trying to follow David Brent so closely. Jenna Fisher, who plays Pam Beesly, mentioned in the Dundies episode of the Office Ladies podcast that, when Steve came back, so much thinner and just looking amazing, they just used it as an excuse, via Office Ladies. Though Michael's makeover was never discussed in the show, his new look was such a drastic change that his clip in The Office's intro had to be adjusted. Nothing else about The Office's theme song was changed for the second season, but Michael's scene was changed from a scene from Diversity Day to one from Sexual Harassment in order to represent his updated appearance. Michael's appearance shifted away from looking so much like David Brent, he also began to grow more into his own character. Fisher and Angela Kinsey also discussed in the same podcast episode that after Carell's The 40-Year-Old Virgin role and the subsequent shift in the styling of Michael, they also started figuring out more about who Michael really was. Season 2 marked a reset for Michael. Michael Scott changed a lot between seasons 1 and 2 of The Office, and a lot of that change is because of Steve Carell. Jenna Fisher and Angela Kinsey had a conversation with director Paul Feig in Office Ladies that one scene in particular started to shape the future of Michael Scott's character. During the 3rd episode of season 2, Office Olympics, Michael is presented with a yogurt lid medal by the employees of Dunder Mifflin. According to Feig, Steve Carell made the choice for Michael to get choked up in response, and Feig encouraged him to go with it. It became a really genuine moment where everyone else in the Scranton branch began cheering him on, because Michael was so sincere that it would have felt wrong for anyone else not to be. During the podcast, Feig reflected on this moment and how Carell's acting choice saved Michael's character. If it weren't for Steve Carell, Michael Scott never would have been the surprisingly heartwarming character he ended up becoming. While Michael was more of a jerk in season 1 due to his inspiration being drawn from his counterpart in the British series, season 2 started to give a sense of who Michael really is. If it weren't for Steve Carell's role in The 40-Year-Old Virgin and his great acting choices, Michael Scott, and even The Office as a whole, might never have become as influential and long-lasting as they are.